All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Shut the Front Door podcast. This is the podcast about real talk about real estate. And with me this morning, I have Scott Connors.
Good morning, my man. It's been too long since we've done this.
Yes, it has been a little while, and you may notice a little bit difference of the camera and the screen now. We have this nice new, the OWL, the 3D module, what do you want to call it?
Yeah, which nobody can see.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic throwing me off this morning. But anyways, we are back. We are live. So we are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, any social media. Your comments, this should be interactive. Your comments should appear on screen. We'll do our best to answer it. Hey, Jimmy, right out of the gate. Watch on YouTube. You working today, buddy? You still got to come into the studio sometime, dude, because I have to tell your story. I don't think I've told you about Jimmy's his most recent sale and purchase. It's a phenomenal story for the Ohio Valley. But
nice.
Anyways, good morning, Jimmy. Thanks for joining us. Anyways, today we're talking about the top 5 scams in the real estate world, not just our market, but just in general, what we feel is the most pressing. We have a list together. So you want to introduce what we're going to be talking about today, or at least some of your experiences?
Yeah, so we'll jump right in. The first one we have on our list is title scams. Mm-hmm. And what we mean by that is, as you approach a closing, there's a lot of information bouncing around, a lot of communication from different parties. And there are scammers who take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, you have your house for sale. Mm-hmm. Everybody can see that because it's online. And they can also see when it goes under contract because it switches to pending or contingent. Mm-hmm. And since property ownership is public record, it's not hard to find your contact info. So imagine you're a scammer and you see that Joe Smith has his house for sale, mm-hmm. and then you see it goes under contract. Well, it's easy enough for you to pose as his title company, reach out to him and try to get some personal information. And so you'll notice a lot of emails now, especially from title companies, have a big giant disclaimer across the bottom that says, fraud alert, be careful who you're talking to.
Right, and it's a massive issue, mainly because in our world, a lot of money is changing hands in one single thing, and there's so many, and not just that, people are getting bombarded with messages from the lender or the lender's underwriter or the agents or all these different people, and you don't even know, you've only met really one person, the agent that you're working with. So how do you know that these people aren't who they say they are? And everything, especially as AI continues to grow, it's really not hard to make something look really official.
It really isn't. I remember years ago, I almost got phished by a PayPal scam. Mm-hmm. And, I'm a fairly tech-savvy guy, and it almost got me. And so I wondered about, my mom getting that email. Right. There's no way she was going to figure out that was not real.
Yeah.
So, keep in mind, too, in a previous podcast, we talked about the danger of requesting more information on Realtor.com or on Zillow.
Sure.
Those sites exist for the sole purpose of selling your private information, your contact information. And so now imagine that you are a scammer. Mm-hmm. If you're in the real estate, if you're in the market to buy and or sell, mm-hmm. and you've clicked that info, your information is now out there and it's not hard to find. And so, again, a savvy fraudster is going to see your house under contract mm-hmm. and know that this is your opportunity to potentially reach out and grab some of your information.
Right. And it's not just even, we talk about title fraud. It goes much deeper than just some of that, because a lot of these are going to overlap, and you'll see shortly.
Yeah.
But, even so much so that my biggest fear with it is the wire instructions. people will post and say, hey, this is coming from so-and-so title company. So go ahead and send this wire as your final closing amount. And it doesn't have to be accurate. They can just throw out a fake number off of, whatever to the potential buyer.
Yep.
And again, it's one of those things that it's becoming so prominent in the industry that it really is important that and I guess put it this way, the easiest way to protect yourself from this is if you're unsure, call us or call
your agent.
Representation, at least, is really, really important in that regard. If you're going by owner, still do some due diligence. Do your best to follow up with someone that you do know as a point of contact, but certainly by no means initiate a wire transfer just because you got an email.
Or even give your information.
Right.
I counsel my clients all the time, especially my seller clients, as we start working towards a closing. If you get contacted by a title company, all you have to do is say, hey, I'll be glad to help. I'll be glad to get you what you need. But first, I'm going to check with my agent to make sure it's legit.
Right.
And it's easy because the legit title companies are going to say, okay, no problem. Just get back to me once you've done that. If you get resistance on that, then that's a pretty big red flag that this might not be legit.
Or if you see in the email time is like, this has to be done today. They always stress the importance. Your deal will be canceled or something. It's going to expire if not done by 5 p.m. today. And yeah, that is a...
another way to think of it is, as again, from the seller's perspective, as you approach a closing, you've got a team of people working for you to make this happen. You've got your agent, you've got the title company, you may have an attorney involved, or a lender also involved. We are all working together to make sure that you are well taken care of. And no one on that team is going to be upset if you say, you know what, I'm going to hang on and make sure you're legit before I give you any more information.
Right. At least no one's sincere.
Yeah, exactly.
They would rather see it. Yeah, correct.
Absolutely. And we never are bothered by those questions. I tell my clients, always reach out to me. Anytime you get contacted by anyone, shoot me a text, give me a call. Yep, I can tell you it's legit or not.
Right.
Really, really important advice.
Great. And so, in kind of going in line with what we were just talking about as far as someone pretending to be a title company, there are other nefarious types of, we'll call it misrepresentation, people pretending to be owners of property that they don't own, or someone seeking a deposit scam. And we see this all the time on Facebook.
It's constant.
And in fact, I've had people show up here asking for me of when they can get the keys. That's happened. Have you heard that?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. People have given, $600-700 as a security deposit to rent a build. Someone has taken my listing, pretended to be the owner. They sent them $700 in PayPal, and they show up here at the office to collect the keys because they use our images.
Yep, that's right. And this is a tough one because we really can't stop it. Anyone can grab an image off the internet and post something for rent, and we really have a very difficult time stopping this. Other than advising people, just be careful.
Right.
Had an experience just this last weekend where a property was listed for rent in the MLS for just over $1,400 a month. Client wanted to see it, but they said, hey, I saw it over here for $950 a month. I don't want to pay $1,400. I want to pay $950.
Right.
Well, the $950 wasn't legit.
Correct.
But when you're a tenant, prospective tenant who needs a place to live, and $950 is in your budget and $1,400 is not in your budget, it's really tempting to go down that road. And so, that's an obvious one from where we're sitting.
Right.
Do not do that because it's not legit. We have the actual listing. We have contact with the owner. We know the proper rate is $1,400 and change. If you go sign up for $950, you're going to lose $950.
Well, and one of the biggest things, the biggest red alert for this one is most of the time it's predicated upon, I'm out of the area, but we have 3 other people interested. You got to send me money today.
That's what it is.
You do not send money. You do not. You're not going to sign anything until you've at least seen the property.
Of course.
I know people. Again, they always pressure. Like if there's pressure coming from that email or from that Facebook post or these messages back and forth, I assure you, if you're being that pressured into it, you really need to take a step back and do some due diligence. Hell, you can even call one of us. Just consultation's always free. We can't really give you straight advice on something that we're not directly involved in.
Yeah, we'll talk to you.
But I'll give you my opinion of saying that doesn't sound normal.
But what's interesting is we probably because we're in the business, we can spot those scams almost immediately.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
It's really tough when you see someone going through that. I had another situation. This isn't quite on your list, but this is also a common scam, and man, this one hurts. Had an agent reach out recently with an elderly client, elderly woman living alone, needs to sell her home because she met a guy online who's going to marry her as soon as he gets back from his overseas job. And we see this scam coming a mile away. It's so obvious. And it's actually the second or third time I've encountered this in my career. And it's tough because you've got someone who's emotionally invested. They do not want to hear what we have to say. And we can see what's happening. We can see them literally losing their life savings. Close to 10 years ago, I went through this with a client.
I remember.
I actually went and met with her privately and said, hey, look, I had a really tough conversation. She didn't believe me.
I know.
And ultimately lost a lot of money. I ended up calling the sheriff's office that time to try to help, and they couldn't do anything either because she wasn't willing to hear that it was fake.
Right.
So, yeah, these scams are just tragic.
And it sounds, people listening and watching this, because I remember being kind of where you are right now, if you're watching. It sounds like these people that fall for this stuff are like, man, how could you ever fall for something so stupid? How can you ever fall? Like, it really has nothing to do with intelligence. It drives me crazy when people say, "Oh, you must have been out of your mind," right? Yep. It's not. You're right. It's emotionally driven.
And not only that, the scammers are very good.
Correct.
Like, especially with AI now, they can fake phone calls. They can fake video calls. I've had clients say to me, "I've video chatted with this guy. Right. I know it's real."
And but even beyond that, what it really turns into is that some of the scams by design are intentionally done with, the people that respond to, "Hi, I'm a prince of Nigeria that has been displaced, off of a cruise ship," whatever, the emails that we get, right? Yeah. The people that respond to that, obviously 99% of the people are not going to fall for it. But the ones that do, they do it to omit the 99%.
That's exactly
with
right.
the intent. So now that we've just focused on the ones that are going to reply, okay. So it's not, again, people get so emotionally driven that they don't want to believe. They don't want to hear the truth. And that's the whole point of that particular scam.
Really
so
tough.
It has nothing to do with intelligence. If you know anyone that's ever fallen for this stuff, whatever, our heart goes out to them. We try our best to at least make this type of awareness, at least in our industry. But
I've noticed lately, I must have made it onto some kind of list because I'm getting an awful lot of friend requests from divorced guys in their 50s and 60s who it's not really my type, but you
do wear a wig and play drums on the weekend.
I do occasionally wear wigs. Maybe that's what does it.
Yeah, but it basically comes down to do some due diligence. Trust but verify.
Keep your eyes open and take the advice when we give it. So,
right.
What's next on your list, Johnny?
We have continuing down the fraudster kind of misrepresentation list. We have people pretending to be fake buyers. So rather than fake sellers or deposit scams, fake buyers. Now, why would anybody want to pretend to be a buyer? What is the benefit?
Well, it's pretty simple. You get to walk through someone's house and see all their stuff.
Right.
Right. Now, I think we're pretty good at vetting potential buyers, which actually has gotten easier lately because of some of the changes in the industry. But we always advise our sellers, have a buyer be pre-qualified. We are now getting them to sign documents before we can even show them a home. So we do our best to filter them out. But it's still, if somebody wanted to case the joint, get into the house, walk around, see all your stuff, and then make a trip back later on, break in and take something. I don't think that's ever happened in my career.
No.
But it certainly is a possibility.
Well, it has happened in the industry.
Oh, for sure.
People have walked away with a kid's Xbox or a video game or something of that nature. Jewelry is another one. It's really not that uncommon because, again, when you hire us, when you contact us to sell a property, you want us to come into some of the most intimate spaces of your home. You know, the bedrooms and everything. And we're taking pictures.
We're looking in closets. We're getting all up in your business.
Yep. Seeing is believing. And a buyer who is interested in purchasing the property is also not just wanting to see the property. So it's almost impossible for us to really discern who is legit and who isn't. But like you said, a good agent, buyer's agent, seller's agent, just a good agent in general, pre-qualification will certainly help with this.
Yes.
Mainly because, well, you've already given your social security number to a local lender, we hope local, and we've done a background check just via your ability to purchase a home. But not only that, but you're just talking about the buyer representation agreements. We have a series that we have to follow now, just by law, in order for us to show the property. So we have to vet these people. Again, if you're for sale by owner, best advice that I can give is be careful who you let in the door. Again, always the pressure. Oh, I'm only here for a weekend. I came in to see my cousin's wedding, and I'm flying back to California tomorrow. Okay, I'm a full price cash buyer. Anybody can say anything, right? But if you don't vet them, right, the sign in the yard, it's by appointment only. Don't fall for the high pressure sales and feel like you're going to miss them. If that buyer was that interested in the property, they would come back.
Yeah, and the idea is, it's like, can someone fake a pre-approval letter? Sure.
Yeah.
Can they sign some documents with a fake name? Absolutely. But it's kind of like, you remember the club for your car? That was a thing that would latch on your steering wheel.
Yeah.
A good criminal can defeat a club.
Yeah.
But if my car's got a club or a security system and the one next to it doesn't, they're not going to mess with mine. They're going to go to the one next door.
Right.
And so if you, as a for sale by owner, or even as an agent or as a seller who's listed with an agent, just requiring their pre-approval, that buyer may not bother with your house and go to someone else who's not even trying.
Right. I mean,
so we just want to make it, we want to raise the bar a little bit, make it a little bit tougher to get in.
Take the path of least resistance.
That's exactly right. We want to be the path of more resistance to the scammers.
And it's one of the easiest ways to defeat a home security system. Just be invited in the house.
There you go.
Just when you're not looking. And besides, a lot of times people will do this, and I don't want to say groups, but it's not uncommon for people to pair off in couples and say, oh, I'm going to go look at the kitchen.
Yep.
And you cannot monitor so many people. When we show houses, we try to, basically say, okay, we're leading the showing, right?
Exactly.
So we're not going to let you go knee
Right
around.
there.
The only exclusion to that might be open houses. But again, when we take listings and we do this, we always advise, hey, we're not going to leave your Rolex.
Put the jewelry away.
Right.
Yeah,
we're going to make sure that you're not going to put yourself in harm's way.
For sure.
So, going down the list, we have next what we refer to as fake document sales.
Oh, this one drives me crazy.
So here, I'll let you take the point.
Yeah. So if you've bought a home recently, it's very common that a week or two after closing, you'll get a letter from an official-looking government agency offering to send you certified copies of your deed and your tax records and your plat map and all these very official-looking documents that it sounds like you might really need. It's a total scam. They'll charge you $49.99 to get documents that I can print for you online in about 10 seconds, and you probably got at your closing anyway.
Right.
But they're very good, again, at making the envelope look official, making the document look official, making it sound like a great service they're offering that you absolutely do not need. I wonder how many clients actually, after closing, will go ahead and spend that $49.99.
And the crazy thing is, you get it. You pay for it. And
they'll send you the stuff.
They'll send you the stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not technically, I don't even know that you can really call it it is a scam in the sense that what you're paying for is absolutely free in the public domain.
I think the scam is in the way it's presented.
Correct.
It's presented as if this is the official,
but it's
your
not
official
even
property record department, at the state, which is just not a real thing. And they're sending you documents that you can get and probably already have that you shouldn't be paying for.
And people forget that they even have them, and they think it's not uncommon for me when we sell, especially on the selling side, and a seller will say, "Do I need my deed at closing?" No, you don't, because we're going to get a new one drafted up.
Correct.
And people don't know this, right?
Right.
It's one of the reasons why this career even exists. If you knew all this information, right? Well, we're kind of, putting ourselves out of it, but we don't want to see people in harm's way. So if you're a for sale by owner right now and you're closing, or I'm sorry, if you're buying a house from a for sale by owner, no representation, just know in 2 weeks you're probably going to get pelted with security companies calling and all these other. And if they say, get a certified copy of your deed and keep it in your safe for private records, you can go online right now. You can go to whatever county courthouse. You can just walk in, and if you go to the county courthouse, it's usually a couple bucks for them to print it out.
Yeah.
But you do not need copies of public information.
Also, as a short aside, there's really no value any longer in an original deed.
No.
I hear old school attorneys sometimes doing a closing saying, make sure you keep this in a safe place. It's in a safe place. It's called the internet.
Yeah, it's the clerk of courts. Yeah,
right.
The original.
That's right. But we sell property all the time and never touch an original deed. It's just not necessary anymore. So
sure, it's absolutely true. And we get the last one, I think, that speaks to you and I. Again, it kind of borders on the line of scamming. We'll get into our position as far as the industry is concerned. But there is a trend now. I would say probably more of a trend than an actual wholesaling.
Yep.
You want to take the point on this?
Yeah. So these are the "we buy ugly houses" people. If you see the ads or the signs nailed to telephone poles that talk about how we buy ugly houses, the way this works is they'll come in and make you an offer on your home. And that offer may be a really strong offer. Maybe your house needs some work, or maybe you just want to sell it as is and make it quick and easy. But they're not really making an offer on your home. What they're doing is they're having you sign an option contract. Let's say your home has a market value of $100,000. And, you really don't want to mess with a sale. You want it to be quick and easy. So you agreed to sell it, to quote unquote sell it for $75,000. It's cash, no inspections. They'll take it as is. What that wholesaler is going to do is they're not going to buy your home for $75,000. You're signing a contract giving them the right to buy it for $75,000 at some future point if they wish to. Usually it's like a 90-day contract.
Sure.
They will then advertise your home for $120,000. The idea being that there's a bigger sucker out there somewhere. Right. And so they find that bigger sucker, hopefully, get it under contract for $120,000. And then they come to the closing and do a back-to-back closing where they buy it from you for 75, they turn around and sell it for 120. They actually never spend any of their own money.
Sure.
And here's the problem with this in my mind. So you have someone who wants to sell their property, right? The wholesalers are out nothing to sign the option contract.
Right.
And so they can go sign 500 of those.
They just need one to work.
They only need a couple, one or a couple or some very small percentage to work, which leaves the other 98% of the people stuck in a contract where they now can't sell their home until it expires. They're wasting time. They're not getting any money out of it. Really just kind of being used as a pawn with the hope that the guy can make a quick buck.
Right. And there are some legitimate options kind of trading or wholesaling. It's not completely dismissed from this. Sometimes people are maybe not overly ambitious. So the 70 to 125,000, maybe they go from 75 to $80,000, right?
Sure.
They'll pocket a small percentage. But what we always get is, okay, most of the time people are ending up signing what's known as a power of attorney, giving this person the ability to market and to do these things. And we'll get calls all the time. Hey, I got a listing that's coming up. Do you have any buyers? It's a win-win for us. Well, not for my buyer. You want my buyer to pay $10,000, $20,000 over what you currently have it for in the form of an option?
Right.
Why don't I just wait for that to expire and I'll go to the seller directly, right? So especially if it's investor clients, because that's what we do. We help protect their bottom line. So it's a very classic case of overpromise, underdeliver on almost 99% of the circumstances. For the ones that do it appropriately, and I've never had any success with it, but I know have friends and I've had past clients that have told me that they do this. Anyways, it's just one of those things just to be cognizant of before you sign it. Again, the overpromise, that kind of, I don't even know if it's high pressure, but great, I have a cash transaction. Read the fine print.
Exactly.
Make sure you know what you're signing.
And what I would say is that it rarely works out for the seller.
Right.
It is possible for wholesalers to make some money, but it rarely works out to the advantage of the seller. So we just don't think it's a great way to sell your home. Especially when I could take that same home and actually put it on the open market and get you more money faster and really not be playing games where you're tied into a contract that you can't get out of.
Well, it took the words right out of my mouth, because especially this does pertain to, I would say, the most vulnerable victim for this type of thing is overpriced for sale by owner.
Yep. Because
the wholesaler could look at this and say, okay, well, you haven't sold it in 30, 60, 90 days. Maybe they're getting a little bit desperate. Okay, a cash offer of this amount. It doesn't have to be a cash offer, right? It doesn't have to be, because once they have it lined up in closing, okay, they bought it for a contract for 75. If they found someone for 90,000, okay, they could, well, I guess they do have to turn it into a cash. They have to buy it first, right? But it's one of those things where they don't have to commit to it until the point where the other buyer has done right. And until that buyer has done absolutely everything else in line, and they know that deal is going to close at $90,000. It would look like this: Monday at 9 a.m. closing the $75,000 transaction. Monday at 9:30, turning around and selling it to this person, and everyone else on the outside doesn't even know that's happening.
That's exactly right. So. Yeah, it's not a good thing. The other way that these folks get into your home is they send out mass mailings. And I've had many clients reach out to me and say, hey, I got this letter that says someone wants to make an offer on my house. Is this legit? And again, read the fine print. It's not. It's sort of related to the other, we'll call them scams, where they could send out 10,000 letters for very little expense. They only need a couple of people to call them back and try to do a deal with them. So
it's legit in the sense that it is an offer. It's not a good one.
It is also legal.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. This is a legal maneuver.
Right.
It's just not in the best interest of a seller in almost every case.
Right. Understood. So, well, we've been live for about 20-some minutes now. Do you have any other words of wisdom or anything that we need to impart to our audience?
No, man, it's great to be back here. We need to make this a habit.
Yep. Jimmy, if you're still watching, thanks for tuning in. As always, feel free to like, share, comment on all of the rest of our videos. We're on Spotify as well. If you haven't followed our stream there, this podcast will be up here probably sometime this week. Make sure you give us a follow there.
Yep.
And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.
Take care.